welcome to this week's episode of ASFN Carp Files. We're at the lovely Vaal Dam. It's midsummer, there's a bit of a cold wind this morning, and what we're trying, the objective of this excursion, we'll have a couple of episodes on this, is using the browning product specifically for bank angling to see how they adapt to our already conditioned water. And when I say conditioned water, is most of our dams have been conditioned over years to some of the products on the shelf, which is certain feed, mealie bomb, flavors. For those of you who actively do some bank angling or tempo fishing, will know that certain dams, certain spots, certain resorts work better on certain flavors. So we're going to really limit it on flavors. And what I've done, I've only brought the bitter mandel, which is basically an almond. Then the sweet vanilla, which is a very, very strong. All these browning flavors are extremely strong and concentrated. So we'll see how that works. And then the very popular B22 crazy liquid, which I'm going to try on those three and see what we can produce. Now on the rods and reels, I'm using the Browning Ultimate reels, which is lovely little reels, meaning from a drag perspective, compact, nice for casting, easy fishing, and specifically designed for feeder, because you're sitting there and everything needs to be comfortable, easy, great drag system because you're fishing a very light tip. And well, you've got the options of several tips on your rods, which we'll show just now. And we're fishing 6-pound line. On these reels, I've put the 6-pound Dawa sensor line, which I've grown quite fond of from a strength and abrasion point of view. The reels speaks for themselves. If you actually go into a shop, come to the Outdoor Pro shop, and we'll show you the ultimate reels, and you can feel, just by holding this reel and using it, you can feel the quality behind it and the stability and the drag, which is one of the better drags in this price class or size reels I've used before, and has helped us to land some bigger fish on it. On the rod side, this side, I'm using a 12-foot black Viper. It's got an option of a 1-pound, 2-pound and a 3-pound tip, which is interchangeable specifically for feeder. And on the left here, I've got the Browning hybrid rod, which is a power pellet waggler. When they refer to waggler overseas, it means it's actually for float fishing, but we're going to try this little 10-foot and see how it works for bank angling in close area. We'll be targeting on that rod specifically. There we've got a smaller Ultimatch on, just a 1 step down, also with 6-pound Dawa sensor line. Now on these hybrids, are actually very well priced. Currently in the stores that do stock them, they're selling for almost half the value at this stage. So they're on special currently in the months of January and February 2016. And the reels are also on special that match these rods. Okay, so on those flavors, that's what we've got. On the feeds, we've got a couple. I'll lift them up. That's the nice part about Browning, is they've got about 20 different flavors and options, some with fine hemp seed, with betaine, you name it. All the good stuff that the Europeans have experimented with, they have put into these feeds, the little 1 kilo bags. And we've used quite a bit of the crispy carp before, which has got a nice selection of a whole bunch of crispy type particles that's in there, which we all know carp loves the bit of a crunch in stuff. And most of them are over 20% protein based, which most carp anglers will know that carp are after protein. Looking at the experiments they've done in Europe and some of the breeding farms, they take up to 32% on average from a protein value and a protein perspective. And the whole theory behind this is, once carp discovers this and realize the nutritional value it's got, they would prefer this above normal or other feeds. So that's what we're out to test. However, we keep in mind that most dams are conditioned. Fish get used to food that's been put into the dam, like the feeds we use. So we're going to see how this corresponds to our waters. So what I've done, I've already mixed them. Now what's nice about the Browning feeds is instant. You mix them, you use them. You don't have to wait 20 minutes like most feeds we used to. And you can determine the density you want. So you can make them a bit softer if you're fishing cages, like the method cages for feeder. You can make them much softer so they dissolve quicker, they disperse into the water much quicker, and the fish starts feeding quicker. Once the fish is on your feeding area, that's the way you'll go. Or you can make them slightly more dense and tight so that they last a bit longer. Another very interesting part is with these feeds, it lasts the whole day. It doesn't go to dry. If I leave it open, if it goes a bit dry, you just add a bit of water and it's 100% right again. But instant. You don't have to wait for it to absorb the water, as long as what we do in most cases. Another very, very big asset now in bank angling, and since I've been using, is these browning buckets. Since I've used that, you really see the difference it makes in your feed. It keeps it nice and fresh for much longer, and it's very convenient having your mixing tray on top. And if you lift that out, that's where you store all your other feeds or whatever you bring with. So very, very convenient back. And now I brought my traditional bank angling box for in case, and later on, or going forward in episodes, we might be comparing some of the South African flavors or local flavors to these imported flavors to see how they compete against each other. So I've got these two rods, 10 and 12 foot, and then I've got another 10 foot that side, which I'll just use to add a bit of extra feed. We'll probably fish at 50 to 70 meters and around that area, and we'll see how that produces fish. I've seen some fish rise early this morning, and in that area and up to 100 meters. So let's hope it picks up. The wind's a bit chilly and a bit strong as well, which will affect your fishing. It always does. So we'll see how that turns out. We're not far from Oranieville. We're around the corner, about, as the crow flies, 3 kilometers, and by road about 5 kilometers. That's where we're fishing, on a private piece of ground. We crossed away from a resort, which I'm not 100% certain what the resort's called. So if you go around that corner behind me, you end up at the Oranieville Bridge, just to give you guys an idea of where we are. Now what I've done here, I'm using conventional bank angling traces. A little sinker, 2 hooks. It's a reach flay slide on both rods, and that's what I'll be starting with. We might change later. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a bit of the feed for the one rod on the left side. Mixed it with dam water, and then I'm going to add some B22 to it and flavor this feed up, just to get it going and see how quickly we can get the fish onto it. And that's how you figure out what they're feeding on, or what you will get your best results on, is by obviously using different combinations and different flavors on the 2 rods. So I'm taking the millibomb out. If this works very well, then you can flavor all your bomb in there, pre-flavor it, or as most guys do, you just add a bit on before you cast. Once the fish is on the feeding area in any case, then it's quick. You just add a little bit, you'll use much less, and you'll still get the results. Oh, it's a strong flavor there, it's lovely. You don't need very big bombs. What's different about the feeder feed? It's a lot finer, so it disperses quicker in the water to get the fish on the bite. The whole objective with fishing this style is to catch fish. It's not about catching the biggest fish like you do in specimen. It's always nice to hook a big fish, so we're always hoping for that. And I'm amazed how quickly this feed actually binds. On the other rod, I'm just going to take a bit of feed here and add a bit of bittermandel. And look at the crispy carp. There's even a bit of Kellogg's cornflakes in there. Looks like it. There's all kinds of nice goodies, little red particles. Now one thing I do know works in this dam is red colorant. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a bit of red powder, which I'll dip these in before we cast. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use plain floaties for the purpose of testing the flavors. So there's no flavorant or colorant in these floaties. Using those little mustard mosquito hooks, trying them out, see how they work. So 2 floaties, and then premixed dough, unflavored, and that will flavor with the browning flavors. So on this particular one, the bottom one, I'm going to flavor with the vanilla. This is so strong, the flavor of the sweet vanilla. Then I take my top hook, embed it, and I'm going to spray a bit of mandel on it, and then dip it in the red colorant. Okay, that one's sorted. Then on our B22, also going to use plain white floaties. These are very old. Old stocks we have. Okay. Bit of dough. And with this, with the B22, I'm going to dip the bottom one. Yeah, I don't even use combination. I'm just going to use B22 on everything with a bit of red flavor. Oh, red, red colorant. And that's it. I'll get them in the water and see what they can do for us. Let's hope there's some fish. This morning the wind is making it a little bit uncomfortable because it's quite strong, but we'll see how that pans out. Okay. That wasn't 5 minutes and it started raining, so that's how we want it, quite close as well. And that's the B22. Now look at the lovely action of this rod. A little carp. It's nicely stands there, mate. Hook your net in. So done, and I've got Browning landing net, which is a very fish friendly net. It's fine. And your hooks don't get stuck in it, which is fantastic. You know, stuck like properly in the other nets. And then the long 3.5 meter holding net, more meant for deeper banks where you're closer to the side. But I've just hooked it on a conventional little holder here. Because it's a very gradual slope into this dam. I checked with a fish finder as well, and at about 100 meters it's only 6 foot deep. Corner of the mouth, stick it in there. There we go, ready to bait up. As I walk back to put the rod down, my other rod went as well. So, now both sides are working. The bitter mandel, sweet vanilla, the other one's B22. So it's just 3 flavors I brought with. And within the first 5 minutes of casting in, took the bait. Here we go. Carries on like this. We're going to pull this net in an hour or so. I must get both rods rigged up again. In competition fishing, we'll obviously have a clip on here, and you'll have ready-made rigs that's hanging there already baited up, so that you can just clip on and cast, so your water time is more. That way it guarantees you getting more fish. The way we're fishing now is a bit more relaxed. I don't have 100 anglers next to me here competing with me, so I don't have to have them ready baited up. Maybe I'll do it later and we'll see. I'm amazed with how fast this started working. You know, always arrive at water and you know you have to get your feeding area going. But yeah, surprisingly, just got going. So is it the feed? Well, one thing's for sure, the feed still works. Even though it's not, it's new in South Africa, it hasn't been used much here. It definitely works, and I think the flavors are playing a role as well. You just grab it dry like that. It looks dry in the box, but it's ready mixed, and if I feel I want it a bit softer, I just add very little bit of water, and then you bind that, and check how quick it binds. Now, using these little sinkers also takes a bit of getting used to binding your feed, that they don't fall off the sinkers. Otherwise you can use the ones that's got more holding area, if I can call it that, for it to cling to in the beginning when you start off, to make sure it doesn't fall off until you start getting used to the densities you want to put on, so it doesn't fall off. Or the way you put it on and the way you cast, all playing a role. I don't think it's definitely not the floaties, they're so old. It's one way of making sure your flavors work. Another essential part under the Browning brand, actually a very wide brand worldwide as we know it from hunting side, but in fishing they've gone quite big. And the Browning Eyewear is something worth mentioning. This particular model has got Zeiss, Carl Zeiss lenses in. Obviously polarized, and one way of testing glasses, we've been fortunate to wear many different glasses, and on our saltwater side we wear a lot of Mako, and now on the freshwater side I've had the opportunity to wear the Carl Zeiss Browning lenses. Well, the Browning glasses with the Carl Zeiss lenses. And the first way to test it really is how tired your eyes are after a day's fishing. Being next to water, it's essential to protect your eyes because you've got the constant glare of the sun off the water. You don't even realize it. But you'll see a lot of times your eyes are bloodshot at night and they're sore, they're tired. Now, Makos I can vouch for, and since I've been wearing this, the same thing, I can vouch for them, where your eyes aren't tired at night, they aren't all bloodshot. And that's one of the first ways of testing sunglasses, good sunglasses. The second thing, obviously, is the polarized side of things, which in the Vaal Dam it doesn't play a big role because the water is muddy. But in most areas, you catch a lot of fish being able to see them. Okay, 5 minute bite ratio. We wait 5 minutes for a bite. Hey, hook pull. Bottom hook, so that's a sweet vanilla. Okay, the next rod went, also 5 minutes. I'm going to give it to Damien, covered in mud. Just pull it slowly. Reel down slowly. And the reason we do that is the hooks are small, their mouths are soft. Now just to summarize that, we had 10 minutes water time, we've got 4 fish. Well, 3, 1 pulled. But hooked through 4 fish, 5 minute water time. In any competition, bank angling competition, you wish for that kind of ratio. Now what's nice here about the Vaal Dam is sometimes you get those grass carp coming in. Nice size fish up to 7 kilos. And it would be great if they can decide to come visit. But we can't force anything. Yellowfish. Look at the mouth, it looks like a grass carp. It's almost got the shape of a grass carp, the mouth.
She gets excited.
Okay, well, let's conclude today. We're going to spend a couple of days here and look for different ways of getting different fish, see if we can get different sizes. Keep a lookout for some of the barbel shows we're going to make. And so make sure you join us forward to see what happens here at the Vaal Dam. But to conclude today, all 3 flavors worked instantly from the first cast, 5 minute bite ratios. So for number fishing, that's the fish in front of us right now. So we'll carry on feeding the area to see if we can bring in different fish and bigger fish and maybe some grass carp. And but just from the word go, putting on these flavors and the browning feed, we immediately got the results. And the rods just added that final touch of enjoyable fishing.